All right, hey, what's going on, guys? So what I have in for repair today is two separate PS5s. Okay, so we have one here that the customer says is turning on or not turning on at all. So we're gonna go ahead and check this one out. But before we get into that, let's go ahead. Let's run it. All right, so we're back. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this cover off this PS5. Um, that's the first thing that I want to do. It's a little bit dusty inside. That's the first thing that I can see. Took the wrong side of the cover off, but maybe we'll, you know what, we'll take both sides off, because I think they said it does nothing, which probably is an indication of a power supply issue. Patches on the top here. This is a digital version of the PS5, so we won't have as much to deal with. But let's go ahead and let's plug it up and let's see what it does. I just want to see if it does anything at all. And I'm pressing the power button. Let me show you. And we get nothing. Could be a power supply. Uh, it could be a short on the board on the 12-volt power rail, because that would completely stop it from doing anything at all. If it was a short on maybe, I think the I think the 3-volt power rail also would cause that, because then you don't have any you don't have that circuit going to the power button in order for the power button to work. So that could also cause it not to show any indication of life, I believe. So if any of those rails that go off the 12-volt power rail is short, usually you will have this issue. But I have seen it before on like the Xbox Series X, where there'll be a short, and because the way that they build the Xbox Series X, you will have, it'll just like power on for a second and power off. I'm not sure if I have the power supply for this. I will eventually start buying the parts for the power supply, and that way I can repair the power supply. Which in these cases where I want to get the job done same day, I have that ability to get it done same day by repairing the actual um, repairing the power supply. Okay? But for now, we don't have it, so let's just work through this. Let's go over the desk. I mean, you guys, I'm not even going to go over the desk because you guys have seen the teardown of these videos before. So I'm not going to continue to show you guys that. It doesn't make any sense. I have plenty of videos on teardowns. And in some of those teardown videos, I tell you guys how I recognize the difference, where they go, and also walk you guys through the process of how I actually take it all apart and keep everything together. So I do have some announcements. I'm going to hold off on those announcements though until we are for sure, and then we'll kind of make those announcements. I think a lot of you guys will be interested in. Just watch these videos just to learn how to repair, especially if you watch them for learn how to repair. This announcement will really um, you'll enjoy the announcement. So let's continue to take out these screws. I'm sure somebody's counting all these screws before and know how many there. I have never counted them, so that there's a lot. I'm gonna say, just by looking at it, I'm gonna say probably at least 30 screws, at least. And then once we get all the screws out, then we'll put it on the board. We'll actually test the power supply first before we go further. That will let me know immediately what's going on the board. Which, like I said, I think it's a power supply. I think we have this power supply, so that big of a deal. So, all right, let's, first thing is first, let's test this power supply. And how I'm gonna do that is very simple. Get you guys over the desk so you guys can see. Yeah, that's over the desk wide. Regular over the desk. Okay, there we go. All right, so all I'm gonna do is take my power cable, plug it in, and multimeter here. I'm gonna put the multimeter in here. You guys can't see it like that. Do it like this. You guys can see that. And turn it on. And I'm searching for voltage DC. So then I take my leads and I touch here, and I'm getting nothing from the power supply, which it would usually be present here for the power supply, letting me know that the power supply is good. But just to make sure, we're going to continue on, because here's the difference. So you might be wondering, well, why would there be 12 volts there? Well, unlike the PS4, the PS5 does not have it doesn't have the power button signal line connected up to it, right? So on the PS4, there's a cable connected to the power supply, which signals it to turn on the 12 volt power rail. The PS5s do not carry that connector, so 12 volts is always present there on the power supply. And because it's always present there, that can cause big issues if you leave your console running all the time and not fully powered off. Putting it in rest mode, there's always the 12 volt rail there. So sometimes lightning strikes and so on and so forth will damage. But let's just make sure we're for sure, right? So the way to make sure that you're for sure is go ahead and take the board out. What I'm going to do now. One more screw here. I want to make sure that I didn't hit this. And all I'm going to do is lay this board down, and then I'm just going to get my power cable again, and I'm going to plug it into the power supply here, and then I can test here. So we do have 12 volts, okay? So that means that the 12 volt power rail is actually shorted because we have 12 volts here. Yep, we have 12 volts there and here. Okay, so let's pop this back in. So I was wrong. Okay, let's plug that up and let's see what happens when we press. You know what? Let's connect back up most of the stuff. And then, so there is a short on the 12 volt power rail. And let's see how we can find this. Okay. Let's see how we can find this 12 volt power rail short. Let me go underneath the microscope. I have to turn on the software for. Go ahead and turn that. I'm getting a streaming bit rate here. $6,800. So I think we did change settings that we just made. Yep. Okay. All right. So I think that's working. Go back to. We have that turned on now. Okay. Okay, so we know we have a 12-volt power rail short. Where would this short be? We can either A, use heat, or we can probe around for a few minutes and see what we find. So here we go. And if you hear that sound, then that means that we found our short. Okay. Not there. There. All right, let's check our fuses and see what we can find on these fuses. Fuse is good. Oh, you guys can't. So let's probably do over the desk. And I still can't get it over the desk for you guys to see it. And I'm getting so much light coming in. Camera. Doing a camera update, but while that's happening, let me just try to look around and see what's going on here. There. I'm checking these coils to see if that's just low impedance. That's fine. Okay. Do we have any quotes on this side? Yes, we do. That's for the RAM. So 00. So I think something over here is shorted. Yeah, I think something over here is shorted. But this is all part of the 12-volt rail over here. So this is all. Let me show you guys that. So over here, this is all part of the 12-volt power rail. All of these, and so we're getting a dead short, dead short, dead short. Normally you get a low impedance line over here, but not a dead short. So uh, first thing is first, I want to remove this. So let's go ahead and let's remove that, and then we can try to see what we see. Okay. This thing is a pain to get rid of all of this. So we're gonna keep on removing this thermal stuff. And make a little ball out of it. And that way I can reuse it if I need to. It's really gonna make it difficult for me to see what's actually shorted. That's why I'm trying to clean most of it. That way I can see what's shorted here. Because over here is supposed to be low impedance, but I don't think it's supposed to be like completely shorted like that. Like it's 00. It's not, you know, 0.1 or anything like that. It's a dead short. And maybe there is a better way to get rid of this stuff. I just never had to really. I think I did it one time. I removed this stuff one time, and that was it. I think the rest of this we can just scrub away. Scrub away. Okay, I think that's pretty decent. Show you guys where I'm at with this. I'm in there. Okay, that's fine. All right, so let's try to see if we can figure out where this issue is, okay? So this is our ground. Get this thing up to 12 volts, our power supply. Okay, 12 volts. And let's get our thermal cam, because I don't think I'll be able to show you guys what's going on here with this thing. I don't know if my over the cam desk will, let's see if it'll pick up what's going on here so you guys can see that. And this thermal cam is okay. I do have uh one right here, which is a good one. I just don't have all the cables for it anymore. I lost it during the process of moving. So, well, looking for this thing to. Literally taking nothing. The board is taking nothing. That's different. Yeah, nothing. The board is taking absolutely nothing. Okay? Definitely different. because normally you would see some kind of power consumption happening over here, but you're getting nothing. So is the power supply actually not working and giving a false positive? Is that what's happening? So is the power supply dead and it's just, but why is it showing 12 volts on the power supply? But once it goes in the board, it's showing nothing. But when I test the board, yeah, that's strange. So the board, it is showing 12 volts there. Okay, let me just scrape a little bit away here. That way I can, maybe that's the issue. I don't have a very good connection on there. Let me just scrape that away. Yeah, I have, it's pulling nothing. Especially if it was on the 12-volt power rail, you would think that it'd be pulling something, right? But it's doing nothing. So is it not a short and the south bridge is dead? And that's why, but why are we, would we not get 12 volts still? I'm gonna leave the power button out. Okay, so we do have 12 volts there. Check to make sure that I still have 12 volts. Have 12 volts. Maybe no 3.3 volt. Okay, so let's take this back out one more time and let's check some of these power rails and see what power rail might be missing. It might be a salt bridge issue with this board. So do it like that and let's check it. If we've lost our salt bridge. Okay, and we have our power, and we're just going to simply over here. For 3 there, nothing there. So we are missing our 3.3 volt. That's the first thing that I noticed is we're missing 3.3. So let's go over here to our, I believe this is our 3.3 volt power rail right here on the other side of the connector. And let's see what we can find. Because maybe South Bridge over here is just bad. It's gone. This is fuse. That's a fuse. Good. Another fuse. Good. Not getting any shorts. Not getting any short over here. Coil is good. That should be fused. That fuse is good also. That's the gate of this chip right here. That's the other gate. That's good. Another fuse over here. So this fuse is blown over here. This fuse right here. That's blown. Short. This cap looked like it got really hot though. So I'm not sure why this fuse blown right here, but this fuse is blown. Let me show you guys that. Sorry. Hey Dan. So that fuse is blown. Still don't have update. Like half of this. Going on here with this thing. Okay, there we go. So over here, this fuse is blown. And this fuse is part of this circuit right here, this chip right here. So I don't really know what happened with that chip right there. There is no short on that chip. At least from my testing, there's none. No short here either. So everything seems good. Okay, everything seems normal as far as I can tell on this board. So what I'm gonna do is we're just gonna put a jumper wire there for now before we replace that fuse and see what happens with the jumper wire. See if the wire holds up or if it goes out again. If it goes out again, then we have to tackle the issue. I don't want to go and replace the fuse and then it blows out the other fuse again. I would much rather put a piece of wire there that is going to act as a fuse, test it, see what's going on, and if I can run it for a little while and I have no issues with it, then I'll come back, remove that wire, and put an actual fuse there. Uh, I mean, you could use any wire as a. You can use, it's from my understanding is a wire will work as a fuse because that's what a fuse is. It's just a little wire. So you don't have to necessarily have a fuse for it to work. I mean, the wire itself, if it's thin enough and there's enough current going through it, the wire will break anyway. I've seen it happen. But for professional purposes, you would want to replace that with a fuse. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Don't go leaving the wire in there. Actually replace it with a fuse. Plenty of boards here with fuses that I can get, so not really worried about it. Grab it from one of my other boards, but this fuse is definitely. And there we go. We have successfully ran the jumper wire across. Let's cut the extra off and we will test. And the worst thing that can happen here is we find out that there is a short there and we just have to go back and figure out what's shorted. Why did that fuse blow? Why did that fuse blow? Was there some kind of power surge? Was there something that happened in the house that caused just that one fuse to go? And for some reason, right this second, I can't find none of the blades that I have. Okay, here, I found one. Okay, let's test it now. Okay, we have a working fuse. Okay, all right, let's pop this back in the console. Let's just clean up some of this flux right here real quick. Really quick. Doesn't have to be super clean. Like I said, I will come back and actually replace that fuse, but I want to test it and let it run for a little while and see what happens before I go ahead and replace that, because I don't want to replace it with a fuse and then that fuse blow. I rather replace it with a wire. The wire blows or break off, and I can just simply add a new wire, find a short, be done with it. As long if you find a blown fuse like that, just check around the circuit area to make sure that there's nothing shorted. That's always the first thing that you want to do, is check around to make sure that there's no short. And it goes all the way to this side. Check right here. Round. All right, seems good. Let's put it back into the console. put it back in the console and let's test it and see. And this is going to be a really short test. This is just going to be a power on test. So you'll notice that I don't attach the sync because this is just a power on test. So I will press the button. As soon as I hear the beep off the console, I will then turn around and I will shut it down. Okay, so one, just look for this light over here. And there we go, we got light. Okay, so we'll shut it down. All right, now that we've shut it down, let's get this piece and put on here. And we'll put this back on. And we'll hook it up and you guys can see it power up. You guys can see that happening. All right, so let me explain it to you guys again, okay? So for anyone that's watching, when you hook up your power cable on the PS5, not the PS4, okay? The PS4, 12 volts will be present after you press the power button, okay? So you always have 3 volts and 5 volts present on the PS4. On the PS5, it's the opposite. You always have 12 volts present. Well, no, not opposite, but you always have 12, 3, and 5. Okay, so here, pull this out. Here, you guys can see, I should have 12 volts. I have 12 volts. Okay, over here where we have our power button, we should have 3.3 volts. And 5 volts, wherever there's USB, you should have 5 volts. So there's 5 volts also here somewhere. I don't know where it is over there. I'm sure I could find it. But we can go over here to maybe one of these big capacitors. If we can find 5 volts. Where's the 5 volts? I'm just trying to find the 5 volt power rail. Here's the 5 volt power rail. So you can see we have the 5 volt power rail. We have the 3 volt power rail, which is over here. This first pin, 3.3. Okay, and then you have 12 volts. So all of those have to be present in order for the console to turn on. If any of those are missing, you're going to have an issue with the console turning. Now, we can go ahead and we can connect up our HDMI cable. Maybe it'll work on the first try, maybe not. Sometimes it doesn't because the capture card, for whatever reason, sometimes acts up. But regardless, let's go to this one. Let's hit our power button. There it is. The console is okay. So this console is working now. So we'll go ahead and we'll put it back together. I won't show you guys me putting it back together because it doesn't make any sense because I have plenty of videos on that. So we'll just go ahead and put it back together. Thank you guys for watching. And I will see you guys in the next video.